Hello, welcome to another episode of Off the Menu. I'm your host, Vincent Franchini from Tumblr House, here with the incomparable Charles Coulombe.
Incomparable?
Absolutely, yes.
I mean, I can't be compared to any one thing or place.
No, you can't, actually. No. It's like that discussion where, I forgot what we were talking about exactly, but if someone was to write a biography of your life and to incorporate all the different elements of your life, that it wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't be believable.
No, well, that's very true. That's very true. And as I think I mentioned to you, I read this lady novelist in the late 19th, early 20th century. She was asked if she would ever do an autobiography, and she said no. She said if I wrote what I knew, it would be too scandalous to print, and if I wrote what I thought proper, it would be too dull to read. And and of course the other thing too, though. I mean, well, wait a minute, hold on. Incomparable. Could I be compared to a coffee milkshake?
Could you be compared to a coffee milkshake?
Yeah.
I guess maybe in one or two different ways. I don't know. It's.
Could I be compared to King Kamehameha I of Hawaii?
I don't know much about him other than what you write about him in Purin's Empire.
Could I be compared to Baja California?
No.
So basically, what you're saying is I cannot be compared to other persons, places, or things, and therefore I see I am indeed incomparable.
Yes.
All right. Well, if I cannot be compared to any noun, then I'll just have to accept it and deal.
God broke the mold with you.
And weren't we all lucky? Me most of all. But no, well, all right. That's kind of a pleasant thing, incomparable, I guess. But speaking of being incomparable, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a slight addition to what's behind me.
I don't know if we can see, and for our television audience, can you move the camera a little bit to? There we go. Whoa, wait, the Redskins. You're a football fan?
Well, no, that was given me. Anyway, they're not called the Redskins anymore. They're called the Poofters or something. But above it.
That is the Kingdom of Two Sicilies?
Yes, it is. It was given me by the San Fedisti of Brooklyn. And it was given to me on my Northeastern tour.
How'd that go?
It went very, very well. I had a good time. When I left, it's funny. Your wedding was probably the quietest time I had while I was in California. Although, despite the Pope's motu proprio, we were able to do the hokey pokey and the chicken dance.
That's right.
Your brother-in-law, your nephews, and I serenaded you with Mystery Science Theater 3000's theme.
The photographer, I was reviewing the pictures too. He's got pictures of you doing the hokey pokey and the chicken dance too, next to my sister.
That's very good.
Yeah,
that's very good. I think probably the only great disappointment for me was you're excluding I wasn't supposed to talk about them.
No, you're not supposed to talk about the ostriches, Charles.
So basically, you put the kibosh on the appearance of the two ostriches at the reception.
That's right.
You thought it was over the top, extravagant, and possibly ill-timed.
Indeed.
You made that very clear to me. I didn't get any closer to the hall than the parking lot with the stupid things, and you began to squawk at me, if that's the word.
That's right.
What are you doing with those ostriches? And I said, well, they're going to do a little dance. You said, no, they're not.
That's right. I mean,
What do
that's
you got
crazy.
against? What do you mean crazy? How many people there would have ever seen ostriches at a wedding reception before? Have you ever asked yourself that question? You could have treated them to that incredible sight, but instead, oh no, no ostriches at my wedding reception. All right, fine. So you didn't have any.
I don't know if that should be the basis for including something in the wedding reception. Like, oh, how many people have ever seen alligators at their wedding reception? How many
You
people have ever seen elephants at their wedding reception?
Don't be ridiculous. I couldn't get a hold of either dancing elephants or alligators. Dancing ostriches was all I could come up with. And it was supposed to be a surprise anyway. You weren't supposed to see them. I was going to bring them in sort of last minute, after just before you guys did the first dance. And I would have said, and before our couple dance, there's another couple who'd like to cut the rug. And then you would have seen them do their little ostrich dance. But no. How do you think they felt being excluded?
I don't care how animals feel.
They're not animals, they're birds. And let me tell you something. Those two particular ostriches were highly trained as dancers. Not too many are. You'll have as racers and stuff, or as meat, or for feathers. But dancing ostriches are a premium item, my friend. You're not going to see them all over the place. When was the last time you actually heard of dancing ostriches before that moment?
Never.
See? A one-of-a-kind deal. Brought with, well, I can't say great expense, but with some expenditure of something or other. And they would have been there for you. Big feet, doing sort of a can-can-esque kind of thing.
Well, I guess I really blew it then, Charles.
I think you did. I really think you did. No one would have forgotten it.
What else? So yeah, I've just been, I've been really out of it, Charles. I've just sort of been in a state of sort of marital bliss. So it's like, is anything going on in the world, or I mean?
Oh, a lot. Firstly, I do not blame you for being trapped in marital bliss, considering with whom you were trapped.
Absolutely.
So that's fine.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's good by me. But beyond that, well, a lot happened. Although you folks were sort of on cloud nine, I didn't notice it at the time, especially because the hokey pokey was not affected. But our Holy Father, he done sent a love letter to trans everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it basically said, drop dead, I hate you. But I'm sure he meant it in a nice way.
Huh.
Although now he says he didn't mean it the way it sounded, so.
Is he going to change anything?
Part,
can you change that?
What's that?
Can you edit that?
Oh, well, there have been a lot of changes. The bishops of Puerto Rico and Costa Rica and various other, shall we say, non-binary dominated local churches forbade the Mass. In some places, forbade Latin in the Novus Ordo, which is certainly ultra vires. One moron forbade traditional style vestments. So, to all those bishops, I can only say, well,
that's against Vatican II. Vatican II specifically says Latin should retain its pride of place.
Who are you going to listen to? A non-binary elderly bishop, or the documents of Vatican II? Who are you going to hold? Huh? Exactly. Who's paying the bills around there? Yeah. Who says who gets fired? Uh-huh. Yeah. Who ends clerical careers? Yeah. Who's going to go to hell? Anyway, moving right along. What? At any rate, having said that, what was very heartwarming was the reaction of binary bishops who actually have real masculine genders. And their reaction was quite different. Some, out of a concern for souls, voided it, as it were, for Canon 87, which says the first interest of the church is the salvation of souls. And they saw what neither the Holy Father nor the little ladies who did what I've said seemed to catch on, that it's about souls. So they voided it for that reason. A lot of others, for whatever reason, did what did a very interesting thing. They said they would take the document under advisement, and usually in bishopese that means bing. Uh, that having been said, Bishop Dolan, Cardinal Dolan of New York, did not implement it. And that's very important because Cardinal Dolan is a man who always knows which way the Holy Ghost is blowing. So I suspect that this is going to all come a cropper eventually, to go up there with a lot of the other triumphs of the Holy Father. It really, having read the thing, it really stinks of desperation. And my suspicion, which could easily be wrong, but my suspicion is, since he did this immediately after having half his colon removed, I think he was willing to let things lie until Benedict died. But there's a good chance that Benedict's going to outlast him. So I think he felt that he couldn't trust anyone else to do this, and so he did it. What's interesting, though, is that in the church, nothing is cognizable, that is to say, it's not to be recognized legally, if it's not in Latin. And the only thing in Latin with this motu proprio is its title. It doesn't exist in Latin, only in Italian and English. And those are not normative. So I think the case may be made. I mean, there are a lot of canonists who have other reasons to discount it. But I think the very fact that it doesn't exist in Latin is reason enough.
Yeah, that's what the one news item that I encountered. And I had two initial reactions. The first one was I just felt sad for Pope Francis. It's just really sad. The second one was we're going to sell 1 million copies of Beginner's Guide to the Traditional Mass. I think people are going to be into the Latin Mass more than ever.
Well, I'm sure you're right. I mean, people who do nothing about it can't help but wonder, well, why is it such a threat?
Yeah.
Why would it upset the old gentleman so much? Now, there's more. Because after those two blockbusters hit, I went on my great Northeastern tour. And I got to tell you, I had a blast. I met a lot of good old friends, made some new ones who I really enjoyed getting to know. Really, how do I put this, ladies and gentlemen? With all the awful stuff going on, it's really neat to meet really decent, devout, fun, good people. It really is. So my first lecture was it was a little bit tiring because it was a different place every night. But the first night I was in the city of my birth, Manhattan, and at Most Holy Redeemer, which, because it was a Redemptorist church and rather old, probably got Habsburg money back in the day. But the turnout was good. Very nice crowd, wonderful people. The second night was in New Jersey. Now, originally, we were going to be doing it in the Wurlitzer Organ Store at the Paramus Mall, but they had to change the venue to a dinner place, which we did. And what?
That's fine.
What?
That's wonderful. I'm sure you had a wonderful time in beautiful New Jersey.
I had a great time. And I met several of our longtime friends from New Jersey who are great people. Unfortunately, Snooki couldn't make it.
Oh.
She was busy. But I won't say who, but one of the attendees had actually just run into one of the characters from Jersey Shore in real life. So he was kind of interested in that. So from there, the next day I left beautiful Newark by train for DC. And I did a couple of things there. The big public deal was at the Church of St. Thomas the Apostle. Now, originally I was supposed to do it at Old St. Mary's, which is the biggest shrine to Kaiser Karl in the country. But for various reasons, it had to be transferred to St. Thomas the Apostle, which turned out to be okay because not only do I know the pastor there, as it turned out, when Suzanne Pearson, the organizer of the Gemeinstig in the U.S., called him to see if he'd host it, Father Mullins had that day used my book. He quoted Kaiser Karl from my book in the homily for a nuptial mass. So he was kind of surprised by the coincidence. But wait, there was more. Because during the war, the Archduke Otto, when he was in D.C., was living in the Broadmoor Apartments. His parish was St. Thomas the Apostle, and he went to Mass there. But the church that is there now wasn't built until 1950. Where he went to Mass was where I spoke. So I thought that was kind of a weird coinkydink. Well, after that, I went down, or went up, I should say, to Frederick, Maryland, and overnighted with our old friend Gary Potter, who is in good shape. And it was a great reunion. It was great to see him again. And then from there, I went on to beautiful Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. Wonderful crowd, uh, great people. They took very good care of me. And then I was picked up and driven to Buffalo. I shuffled off to Buffalo. And amongst other things, I made the acquaintance of someone that, well, mind you, he's been dead for a few years, but his name was Boss McCarthy. And he ran the old First Ward in Buffalo. How does that sound?
The old First Ward?
The old First Ward. That's right. You know, that's the kind of place that was run away. You would understand. You know, everything kept to the family, as it were. Well, the thing was that when Boss McCarthy died, of course, I suppose he didn't appreciate being called boss, but they renamed the street in front of his bar Boss McCarthy Way, which is what it is now. But I also saw the film shoot for Cabrini, which is a movie about Mother Cabrini that's being made. So from Buffalo, I went to Philadelphia, thanks to the Cephalophore Society. They had me speak in Ivy Hall, and that was neat. I love Philly. Did a little bit of sightseeing, saw some things that I'd always wanted to see. St. Clement's Church, which is one of the big Anglo-Catholic shrines of the Northeast. Heard about it for years, never been there until then. And I saw the Museum of the American Revolution, which is open since I was there. So from Philly, I went back to New York, overnighted, and then went up to Fogarty's in Bronxville. Had a great dinner there with some of the usual crowd. Wonderful time. And the next day, I went to Greenwich. I saw my Aunt Ginny's grave and saw my cousin Jamie, and we had a very good lunch. Then went back to Goshen, Connecticut, overnight at my old homestead there. The 14th, I saw various places in Massachusetts, the Wayside Inn, the Colonial Inn in Concord, all good stuff. And I heard a phrase which I have to share with you.
Okay.
All right. Well, I've told you the story about Mike Fight and the poet's great niece.
You can say it again. I think a lot of people don't.
Well,
Yeah.
basically, a good friend of ours went to a very, shall we say, I don't want to say snooty, but a supposedly very bright school in the East. And a girl who's a great niece of a famous poet whom I don't care for said she was holding forth in the dining hall about how terrible C.S. Lewis was. Shoving his religion down people's throats, children's throats, and so on and so on. She was going on and on. So finally, old Mike says, excuse me, firstly, every writer has an agenda that they're pushing. That's why writers write. number one. And number two, everyone agrees that Lewis was a great stylist. And she says, "Oh, yeah? Well, C.S. Lewis was a drug addict." He says, "What? I have never heard anybody say that." She says, "Oh, yeah? Have you ever actually read Alice in Wonderland?" Well, during the Northeastern tour, I won't say who or what, but a rather high ranking cleric of my acquaintance, I told the story to. And literally his jaw dropped. He looked at me like, I mean, his mouth hung open. And then he goes, "That kind of stupidity is redemptive." So that was the phrase redemptive stupidity. When you're so stupid that nothing you do really means anything anyway. It's redemptive stupidity. You like that?
I like that, and I like your little elucidation about that. Like if you're at the gates of heaven and St. Peter's trying to deal with you, and it's just, okay, just go in,
Just go away. Just I don't
yep.
want to hear about it. No, but you gotta understand. No. I do understand. Just leave. Go. I don't want to talk to you. Go away. Redemptive stupidity. It's just so stupid that your sins they're not forgiven. They're overwhelmed in your idiocy. They're just no. I don't want to hear about you. I don't want to deal with you. Just keep your mouth closed and go find a corner in heaven and shut up. The minute you open your mouth, you're in hell. So just button it up. And then, yeah, and that kind of stupidity is altogether redemptive. And that, I mean, it's so that's something a bit of wisdom I got off the trip I can share. Then I came back to New York, had a farewell dinner at wonderful Keens, and then flew back to the mother continent. Arrived on the 17th, and I have been there or been here ever since. Tomorrow, no, not tomorrow, that's Sunday, but Monday, Labor Day, when you're going to be reading this, I will once again be flying the friendly skies to England.
You're one of your favorite places.
It is, and this time I'm going to be seeing a lot of old friends and not. I'm seeing a lot of old friends, and I'm not going to be. How would you put it? Uh,
Available, accessible.
well, that too. I won't be spending a great deal of time in London. I'm going out to the West Country, to Bristol and Glastonbury, and I'm going to Wales for the first time, Cardiff and Caerleon, and all in a couple of days. It's going to be a zip, zip, zip. But you know why I'm keeping it to just 5 days?
Why?
Because I have to be back here Saturday
For another episode to film.
of
Off the menu.
exactly.
That's how
So
dedicated he is, folks.
Yep, I'm actually, and that's, by the way, it's not even a joke. Otherwise, I'd have spent a week there or more. But and believe me, again, the hoops I had to go through to get approved, since I'm not vaxxed, were very annoying.
When do you start school?
October 1st. So I've got some traveling yet to do. I've got to, when I come back from that, I'm going to go to Budapest on the 19th for the European Conservatives Lunch event on the 20th. And then on the last weekend in September, I will probably be going to Denmark for the Latin Mass men's encampment, sort of a trad Bohemian Grove in Denmark.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah, so that's what's awaiting me. But you know what's awaiting all of us? I've completely avoided the political news.
Okay.
But we had the fall of Kabul. And you know, there was a very cruel meme that I saw. I It was really nasty. But it said that both the Pope's motu proprio, which stuck uh, the Pope's motu proprio, which uh, put the Tridentine Mass on paper anyway, back to where it was in my childhood, coupled with the fall of Kabul as a reenactment of the fall of Saigon, is all intended to make me feel like a teenager again.
That's an.
Allegedly, this was done for my benefit to make me feel young and nostalgic. If that were true, it failed. I am afraid, ladies and gentlemen, that the fall of Kabul and the disgraceful way in which the whole thing came about will be remembered perhaps as the beginning of the end of the American Empire. And I can't say we were best at being imperial, but I can say that all of our allies are going to have to take care of themselves from now on, because we're not going to be able to do much for them. And considering how much we have done for them, I mean, we've done a lot to them. Let's get that straight. To the French, and the Dutch, and the British, and so on. Suez and things like that, Algeria. But we also gave them an umbrella, which allowed them to coast while we picked up the bill as far as defense went. No more. If Japan and South Korea and the rest of them want to remain independent of China, they're going to have to look to it themselves. We're not going to be able to do anything.
So I actually have been blissfully ignorant of the details of this. Why do you feel it's so far-reaching? Like the end of the empire, and we can't help out anybody anymore because of this one country?
It's not just one country. It's one country that we spent 20 years, millions of dollars, and tons of bodies trying to remake in our own image. It wasn't going to work. And I knew that when President Bush put the kibosh on the Afghan restoration of their king back in 2002. After that, there was no way any Afghan regime that we worked with could be seen as anything other than puppets. And sure enough, as soon as we pulled the rug out from under them, they collapsed. I mean, just the way it is. They could have been handled very, very differently. And of course, President Bush, not sorry, Bush, President Biden, I'm getting like President Biden, and I don't remember anything. But President Biden, in pulling out what he did, he left quite a few Americans behind, not just American allies, but Americans, including 23 California school children who are trapped back there. They're Afghan Americans who went home to see the old country and got caught up in all this. Now we have no means of extracting them unless the Taliban care to let them go. So,
well, at least the orange man's gone, am I right? Everything's better.
Yeah,
this is great.
Everything's better now.
This is wonderful.
You bet. Although it's the orange man is so gone, President Biden doesn't even remember he existed.
Wow.
Of course, he may not remember the orange juice he had for breakfast. I don't know.
So, all right, let's sing a happy song for a dying planet, shall we?
Yes, we shall. And happy days are here again. The skies above are clear again. Let us sing a song of cheer again. Happy days are here again. All together shout it now. There's no one can deny it now. And we'll tell the world about it now. Happy days are here again. How's that?
Perfect. I think everybody enjoyed that, Charles. Thank you.
You feel better?
Feel great. I feel so good. I think it's time to do the memes of production.
Nationalize the memes of production.
For the common good.
Yeah. Let's see what we got.
All right. So the people won't let the New Jersey debate go. They just won't. They just want more, and it just keeps going on and on. This is the
You know,
great debate of 2021.
I've heard a rumor that the New Jersey State Tourist Board is behind this.
I
It's all
believe
being
it.
done. Yeah, it's all being done to drum up interest.
All right,
Uh,
so from Aaron I think Aaron's in Texas, but he still defend New Jersey for the common good. A perfect
ooh,
picture of us. It's very nice, Aaron. Very nice. I like that.
fighting for Jersey at home in Hackensack.
Um, let's go into. So we've got a message from a patron. So okay, so one of the last episodes we did before we took the break, superfan Nate had said that the great state of Connecticut thinks New Jersey is all right. Well, superfan Patrick chimes in and says, I don't want Nate to give the impression that all of us Connecticut folk approve of New Jersey. I personally think it smells like rotten eggs and broken dreams.
Wow.
Connecticut is much
Wow.
classier and pretty in the fall. Much more land mass in the west of the state as well. Rotten eggs and broken dreams.
Ooh.
I don't think Andrew
Ooh.
from New Jersey is gonna like that too much.
I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
Because
I will say though, I spent a good deal of time in the Nutmeg State this time. Uh, a shout out to my favorite watering holes there. The Ginger Man in Greenwich, the Fife and Drum in Kent, the Bull's Head Inn in Cornwall, and and lest we forget, the former Curtis House in beautiful Woodbury, Connecticut. I do love Connecticut, I have to say. I do. Although whether or not the nutmegs themselves really love or don't love Jersey is something they'll have to fight over themselves.
all right, so then we've got a question. Andrew from New Jersey with a question. He says, a big welcome back to the greatest tag team in the history of Catholic YouTube.
That's us.
Vincent, a big congratulations to you on your wedding. May your first child be a masculine child. Oh, thank you, Andrew. And Charles, by the time you read this, we will have broken bread together in what some people are calling God's backyard, the great state of New Jersey.
Well, we did. I met Andrew from New Jersey. Great guy.
While it hasn't happened at the time of me writing this, I'm sure it will be a real pleasure to chat with you in person. Wow, God's backyard. I have not heard that one before. That's an interesting.
I haven't either. And you're right. Parts of Jersey are like God's backyard. Parts not so much. The Union Carbide plant, no.
All right. So Andrew's question, he says, I guess this is a rather serious question. He says, now on to a more serious question. I know this might not be in either of your expertise, but I need some advice on a serious medical issue I'm having. I'm too embarrassed to see a doctor, and it's really having a negative impact on my family. My wife especially is getting very frustrated with me, and I'm starting to fear the worst. Please help. You see, in the middle of the night, I go walking in my sleep from the mountains of faith to the river so deep. The only thing I can think of is that I must be looking for something. Something sacred I lost, but the river is wide and too hard to cross. Any help you can provide would be much appreciated. Thank you and good night.
Well, Andrew, I got to tell you something. I see a bad moon rising. I see trouble on the way. Don't go out tonight. It's bound to take your life. there's a bad moon on the rise. Hope you have got yourself together. Hope you are quite prepared to die. Uh, hope you are prepared for nasty weather. Well, you get the idea.
Excellent, excellent. All right, so we've got let's move on with the memes. We've got a so one from you, which I plucked from your Facebook actually. We were strong because we were family. And then Vin Diesel.
Yes, yes, the truth is finally come out. Ladies and gentlemen, Vin Diesel has been outed. The truth has been made known. Vin, I mean, my heart goes out to him. This is a very personal, very deeply intimate fact about Vin, which, normally I'm against outing people for anything. But, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come to admit the truth. Vin Diesel is a secret closet Habsburg loyalist. Khan, Kaiserliche und Königliche, all the way through. I don't know what to tell you. Vin, if you're listening, and even if you aren't, I want you to know that I support you. I think that there should be room made in Hollywood for those who share your Central European Reichsidee feelings.
If there was a movie that was ever made on Blessed Karl, what role would you cast Vin Diesel as?
Oh, God.
General Horthy? Horthy?
No, I wouldn't. No, he's. I give him something better than that. That kind of loyalty that he's showing in the meme has to be rewarded.
Okay.
You know what? He'd be. I'd make him Field Marshal Borevich.
Okay. Very
loyal
good.
to the end.
There we go. Nice.
And that's kind of fitting the stance he's got there. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you were a Vin Diesel fan, I say stick by him in this hour when an intrusive press have outed him.
All right. Now we have a special meme from a super fan on Twitter. She actually did a face reveal for the sake of bringing this meme. So this is a big deal. And I very much appreciate this. So from Lady Monarchist on Twitter. So, give them what they want. I'm interested, right? I'm interested, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, but good and hard.
Oh,
not
so much.
Not so much anymore.
I think I've had enough of it already. Oh no, there's so much more. But I think that's quite enough. Oh no, you were always going out about how much you wanted it. Now it's yours.
I love that. Thank you. That's so well done. That's so well done.
It is. It's beautifully done. You speak for a nation and for a generation.
All right. So Brian, who is a huge fan of the show from Texas, you know who you are. So I got this from his Facebook, and I think a lot of people have gotten this actually, but let's just talk about it, shall we? Yeah. He says, I really don't know what I'm going to do now. Thanks, social media, for looking out for my well-being. Facebook says to him, he's trying to help him out, right? Says, Brian, you may have been exposed to harmful extremist content recently. Violent groups try to manipulate your anger and disappointment. You can take action now to protect yourself and others. Get support from the experts. Spot the signs, understand the dangers of extremism, and hear from people who escaped violent groups.
Wow. Oh, boy. That sounds like getting a whole bunch of guidance counselors and bereavement counselors together, caregivers and stuff. I mean, you know, I've actually gotten that stupid thing myself. I've been exposed to extremists, apparently. I suspect it's Zuckerberg himself is an extremist, and I've been exposed to it by using Facebook.
Probably.
Just is what a don't get me started, weenies.
All right, and now a recent one, which I've rather enjoyed on Twitter from Richard. He says, I had the absolute strangest dream that Tumblr House bookstore was somehow usurped by liberal Catholics. And then Vincent had to do damage control.
Oh,
I don't know what that meant in my dream. And then John Adams replies, Tyrone won't let that happen.
no, he won't. Tyrone keeps a tight ship. I have to tell you that he was good seeing Tyrone at the wedding. I mean,
Was,
I have
yeah.
never seen him in formal wear before. And to see him doing the hokey pokey, you don't generally think a guy that big could be that graceful. It was,
It,
and the chicken dance. And by the way, did you see the gift the girls at the secretarial pool gave Gina?
what was that? No, I
The
didn't.
the chafing dish.
Ah, okay.
That was the secretarial girls. You haven't seen a chafing dish, have you, for a long, long time?
No, I haven't, Charles.
No, but they were really, really pleased they found it. I don't know where they went looking for it, but I know it wasn't on the register.
All right. We got. Let's see. But one thing I wanted to comment. One of the things I loved from that tweet is like we've injected like concepts and ideas in people's minds where it's like we're impacting their dreams and like they don't even know what it means, but like it's there and it's there to stay.
It's we've become a part of the collective unconscious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Carl Jung would be proud of us, I guess. I I don't know. I guess golly, you know, it does one's heart good though. Actually, to know we're making a difference. Hearts and minds, hearts and minds.
And so one last thing, I kind of went in reverse order here because this was from July 16th from Daniel at Sam's Club. July 16th. Here we go. Halloween costumes for sale. July
Oh
16th.
heavens!
That's a winner, right? July
Yeah,
16th?
he wins July 16th. He definitely wins the Halloween Derby this year. July 16th. Now, mind you, Cracker Barrel people cheat because I think Cracker Barrel puts it out early as well as a regular thing. But this is really something. And now we're all the way in September, and it's legitimately Halloween creep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's
I mean,
everywhere now. Yeah.
there's going to be Halloweens. I wish I could see it, frankly. You know what, ladies and gentlemen? I've got an idea for a new fun uh, uh, contest.
Okay.
All right. Now you can decide on the prize for the winner.
Okay.
Most elaborate Halloween display in a retail store.
We did that last year.
Did we?
I'm pretty sure, yeah, because we had some interesting ones. Well, there are Halloween stores though.
Yeah, well, it can't be a Halloween store. It's got to be like a Save On or uh,
What about a party store though? Like there are party stores where, you
no,
know, no.
no, supermarkets, yes, drugstores, okay, department stores, okay,
Oh,
but not party stores, not Halloween stores.
okay, we can do that. So, no party stores, no Halloween stores, supermarkets, big time names. Okay.
Yeah, and drugstores, five and dimes, things like that. In other words, these have got to be normal retail stores that go wild purely for Halloween.
Got it.
I mean, that are
Yeah, their purpose is apart from
yeah.
yeah, that. Okay, cool. Send them on in. You can send them through Twitter. Patrons can send them through Patreon, and yeah, that'll be good.
It'll make me feel a little less homesick for American Halloween.
Mm, I can't
I
wait.
I I'll have to do what I did last year, which was go to Americandies here in Vienna and buy all the stuff, including the candy corn. But the pumpkin I got was too. It wasn't shaped right
Yeah.
to do a jack o' lantern. It was too small.
We
I need one that's tallish.
we got some criticism from our because of our love of candy corn. From some I pay
Candy corn is like New Jersey. It's a never-ending struggle.
That's a perfect metaphor.
Have you ever tried to pop candy corn?
Pop? You mean like
You
what?
know,
Like
like you take a bunch of candy corn, you put it into a corn popper on the stove and try to pop it.
no.
I wouldn't do it. It doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
It just melts.
Yeah.
So if you were thinking of popping your candy corn as something new and different, it doesn't work.
All right.
You
On
didn't
to
know
the.
that?
I knew that, Charles.
Well, have you tried it?
It's self-evident. We hold these
What's
truths to be self-evident.
the cat that tried to pop candy corn ends up in a melted mess? That they are endowed by their manufacturers with a very limited temperature range.
That's ridiculous.
What? You've got something against trying to pop candy corn.
I guess I
Admit it.
do.
You're prejudiced.
Okay. All right. Well, just good luck, Charles. Good luck on popping the candy corn. All right.
It's a miracle the candy corn popped.
All right.
Can you imagine what popped candy corn would look like?
No idea.
It would be sort of harder than regular popcorn, I would think.
All right. Question time. First.
I can see you want to move off that whole rabbit hole.
Yes.
All right, fine. I don't care.
First one is from Mason, who says, I'm currently working in the great state of Wyoming for the summer and would like to know if Charles has any interesting facts about the history of Wyoming, particularly any relating to the faith. If so, may he please share them. I heard that a disproportionate number of the mountain men and trappers here were from Quebec, and that some of the Indians converted, so I would assume there are some good stories that Charles knows about.
I'm sure there are. I just don't know about it. Father de Smet was through there, and you're right. A lot of the French Canadian trappers, a lot of the Indians were Catholic. Uh, it's interesting, but the capital of Wyoming, Cheyenne, is way off in the southeastern end of the state. But there's a town in the center called Casper that for a long time agitated to be the state capital. It never made it. But there was some fear or thought that if that happened, they would have to move the bishop from Cheyenne to Casper. So the Catholic Church in downtown Casper is actually quite large and quite, bigger than you would expect in a town of that sort. But it was, it's more game than people. It's got, amongst other things, Yellowstone National Park is primarily in Wyoming. So, the buffalo and all that, the Rocky Mountains. I remember in particular a town called Buffalo, Wyoming, no relation to the one in New York, which has an old hotel. I think it's called the Grand. It goes back to the 1880s or 70s. Teddy Roosevelt was there and all that. I've been through there. It was really, really lovely. And then, of course, they've got a rather peculiar sort of agricultural industry down toward Cheyenne. If you go there from Casper, they've got cornfields, but they're very peculiar because if you go up to them, you'll find and you grab the ears, you'll find they're extremely hard, harder than the normal run. and that's because they're candy. Uh, Candy corn generally comes from the
All right, moving on. You're crazy. You're
what?
crazy. You've lost it.
What? What are you talking about? Where did you think candy corn came from?
From the factory.
No, it comes from the cornfields in Wyoming, the candy cornfields. Are you honestly going to tell me you've never seen a candy corn cob? You ever
No.
tried smoking out of a candy corn cob pipe? It melts.
I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. This happens from time to time.
What?
Or you just go off the deep end.
What deep end? It's quite
Exactly.
shallow. It's quite
Exactly.
shallow.
All right.
Fine. I'll bet you don't believe that they've got crop circles in those candy corn fields either.
Question from Nicholas, who says, "Hello, gentlemen. I was wondering if Charles, with the permission of Mr. Vincent, the Tumbler House autocrat, Franchini."
I'll say he's really riding me hard now. Doesn't want children to know about where candy corn comes from. Fine. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm trying to deceive the children, Charles.
Yes, especially in Halloween season.
I want all the candy corn. All right.
Yes, you're hoarding it.
All right. Could you discuss the history of the Kingdom of Naples and Sicily? On my mother's side of my family, I have a considerable amount of Italian heritage from those regions, and it occurred to me that I do not know an awful lot of their histories. If Charles could both discuss this along with recommending good books on the subject, I'd be very grateful.
Well, I can indeed. As far as books go, Sir Harold Acton wrote a number of them, the Bourbons of Naples, things like that. Uh, well, southern Italy has always been kind of a place apart from the rest of of the country. Mind you, all of Italy was always sort of divided, but the two Sicilies, the Kingdom of Naples and Sicily, uh, owes its origins really to the Normans, who the Giscard family, who around the same time they were conquering England, conquered southern Italy and Sicily. And to do so, they defeated Lombards and Byzantines and Muslims who were controlling Sicily. And from that time on, the Kingdom of Sicily and the Kingdom of Naples, or the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies, as it became later, were generally united after the Giscard heiress married the Holy Roman Emperor. For a short time, in the 1200s, Frederick II, the Holy Roman Emperor, was also King of Naples. And they still remember him very fondly down there today, the Stupor Mundi. After he died, there was various factions and fighting, and it went back and forth between Aragon and France. It ended up eventually under the Habsburgs, and stayed there until the 1730s when it was conquered by the Bourbons. And the very first Bourbon king of the Two Sicilies was the founder of Los Angeles, Carlos III. Later, when he became King of Spain, he was an interesting fellow because he was the first Bourbon Duke of Parma in the 1730s. Then he became the King of the Two Sicilies, I guess, in the 1740s, by mistake. So he started the houses of Bourbon Parma and Bourbon Two Sicilies. But then his older brother died. He inherited the throne of Spain, left the Two Sicilies with his younger brother, or younger son, and went on to Spain, where, as I say, in his capacity as King of Spain, he founded LA and California. But he also founded, when he was King of Naples and Sicily, he founded the Teatro San Carlo. Southern Italy has always been a place very much apart from both the central area under the popes and the northern area under various rulers. Interestingly enough, after the last queen mother of the Two Sicilies, Maria Cristina of Savoia, has been beatified, and her son Francis II has just had his cause for beatification introduced. So he's a servant of God, and I would highly recommend to all descendants of the two Sicilies, to include even the Franchini clan, that they pray for his beatification and pray for his intercession. And as you see, I've got that little Bourbon of Two Sicilies flag up there, which was a gift from the Sanfedisti on my recent tour.
Okay, question from Brad, who says, Pax, Vincent, and Charles, congratulations to Vincent and Mrs. Franchini. Prayers for Charles' safe return to Austria. I'm currently watching your talk on Blessed Karl in Manhattan. A question dawned on me as I listened. Charles, how has Blessed Karl acted in your life, especially since you've been propagating his cultus? Since I've shared him with family and friends, my sister's boyfriend, Jared, was healed of a hernia through Blessed Karl's intercession. Blessed be God in his angels and in his saints.
Forever and ever. Well, firstly, I would definitely report Jared's healing to the Gebetsliga. You could look them up at blessedemperorcharles.org and let them know it happened. How has he affected my life? Well, I haven't had any miraculous healings or anything like that. But firstly, I believe my being here in the first place in Austria was through his intercession. A lot of the people I've met, the things I've been, you might say, guided to, I feel came from him. Uh, I dedicated this residence to him, this trip, this sojourn to him. Uh, and I have to say, without going into any details, all sorts of really good things have sort of fallen into my lap. And I believe that to be entirely his doing, and perhaps Cena's as well. Uh, I'm very happy to be in a position to propagate his cultus, because I mean, you look at the lame brains we have running us in church and state, and he epitomizes exactly what we don't have and need. And the best part of it is that it's not simply a figure we can look up to try to emulate, but also a living being whose help we can get, which is really important at a time like this right now. Uh, it's funny that he should take such an interest in America. Uh, but perhaps given the nature of the man and the fact that he was so kind to his enemies, there is a certain appropriateness in the fact that he seems to have a great deal of care for our United States, for all that we were the ones who did him in. So anyway, I hope that helps answer that question.
All right. We'll end the show with 4 questions from Philip.
Oh,
He says, Hi, Vincent. Congratulations on your marriage. I'm glad to see you and Charles returning. 4 questions.
us too, us too, us too.
Yes. 4 questions for Charles. How do you feel about your personal engagement with social media on an emotional, psychological, or spiritual level? Is it intrinsically addictive?
I think it is to some degree, yeah. Because you're always having to keep up with it and find out what people are saying about this and that. Uh, I find that it really does bring out the worst in people from time to time. Uh, and I mean, people will say and do things on social media they would never dream of doing in real life. And there's also the fact that uh, the use of a pseudonym allows you to say anything you like without fear of reprisal. Whereas, if you are who you are, you're kind of a sitting target. But that's the price that comes with being on it. You know, there's nothing worse than famous people complaining about, oh, the price of fame. It's so terrible. No, it's not. And you learn things come with the territory. If you go into social media, you're basically going into the old west. And uh, other than those elements of social media that are, of course, nannied, like our friends at Facebook will do for you if you need to be nannied. But it's interesting. They will go after quote unquote extremists, but they don't seem capable of dealing with mere insults. Funny
Mm,
how that works.
yeah.
Or foul language. Never, never, never write on social media, ladies and gentlemen, what you would not want said.
In person. Well, to
Yeah.
me, what I always look at is what I'm saying online, is that congruent with what I would say in real life to this person? Like if
Yeah.
I was looking at this person, we were right next to each other, would I say the same thing? Because I think that's really important, because I feel like online communication can be incredibly divergent from your real life communication, you know?
And it shouldn't be.
Right.
As you say, you should try to say what you would say regardless.
The other thing that I think it's especially important for young people in social media is you have to analyze whether or not it's making you unhappy.
Yeah.
It because there is a trend in the modern world which I can't stand. It's so ugh. It's to make everybody feel small. Like, oh, you don't matter. You're not relevant, so don't even try. Everyone wants to be relevant. Everyone wants to be well liked. But it's important to not get in the mentality of valuing your self worth based on the amount of likes that you're getting on posts.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Because that's a trap that you can fall into. Um, so don't do that. Don't create it. Don't create a headache for yourself, because you don't need it. Um, you know, we want everyone to be happy. All right. Second question: do you feel there is an ideal or target range for allocating time to work? I work too much and feel that I would be more effective if I allocated specific time to it. I am self-employed.
Well, yeah, I think that one of the things you should do is devote at least an hour a day to a leisure activity, whether it's reading or seeing old television or whatever, something that pulls you away from your work. Uh, if your work is keeping you up at night, if you're working at home now, I'm saying, and your work is keeping you up at night, it's, you know, too too much. Also, uh, you should probably set definite bedtimes for yourself. You know, now I have to admit that I don't do that, except when I'm in school, because then of course I've got to be up at a certain time, so I have to go to bed. But like now, if I'm writing and I feel driven, I'll stay up until 2 or 3 working on it. But you shouldn't do that. Writing is a little odd that way because you got to write when you're hot. But most work isn't like that.
Yeah, it's incredibly challenging, especially to be self-employed. I remember when I was working for an agency and we were transitioning during COVID from like in office to remote, and we were dealing with consultants on how to handle working at home. And they confirmed that it's incredibly difficult to work at home in terms of managing your hours. Like, staying up too late, because you don't have that structure anymore, you know?
No, no.
So,
And of course, too. One of the pieces of advice I heard, which I think is a very good one, uh, never have your computer, if that's where you work, in your bedroom.
oh, yeah. Yeah. So
And
I've been self-employed a lot. It's a huge challenge. It's an incredible challenge to keep the structure. But conversely, for people who have entrepreneurial ambitions, uh, some advice there is, if you want it to become like a full-time, like, a full-time job that is you're totally self-sufficient on, treat it like one,
yeah,
and it
respect
will
it.
become one. You can't just do 1 or 2 hours a day and then think it's going to turn into this giant thing. You have to be honest with yourself about how much time you're putting into it, and you have to treat it like a full-time job. That's very important. Yeah. Okay, Philip says, are there any books that you can recommend that discuss how old world conflicts in history affected the interaction of groups in the New World?
Actually, yeah, Puritan's Empire. I wrote it for that specific reason. So I don't mind plugging it. Uh, I wrote it precisely because I found too many American histories to ignore what was going on in the rest of the world, which is not helpful. It's not helpful at all. So yeah,
So I'm pretty sure Philip has already read Puritan's Empire. He's buys a ton of books from our bookstore. Oh, actually, I see right here. He actually bought all your books. Wow. So yeah, Vicars of Christ, Catholic Quest, White Cockade, Star Spangled Crown, Puritan's Empire. How do you like that?
I think
So
it's great.
beyond beyond Puritan's Empire. How about?
All right, fine. Eric von Kuehne-Nadine's Intelligent American's Guide to Europe.
That's a good one. Um, okay.
And let me see. Well, of course, I can't agree with their ideological stance, but Will and Ariel Durant's series certainly does a lot of that.
Okay. Yeah. Um, is there any truth to the rumors that Vinnie is ghostwriting for True News?
Yes.
I don't even know what True News is, actually.
Oh well.
Oh,
No,
okay.
if that's your story, I'll back you up, boss. That's what you. No, if that's what you're going to tell people, I'm 100% behind you.
All right.
Philip, the rumors are all lies. Uh, Vinny denies he denies any association with them. The numerous checks and other favors coming in from them have nothing to do with him, and he's not involved. There.
Hmm.
How was that as a flat denial? Was that okay?
That was perfect, Charles. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm here for you, boss.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Phil, for all your patronage, by the way. A patron and buying a ton of books, especially Charles's books. Thank you so much. You're a hero.
Indeed, indeed. And I have to say, ladies and gentlemen, although it's a bit of a short run this evening, we're getting back into the frame of things, as you might say. I'm sure it's true for both of us, despite the fact that we've spent the 6 weeks we've been apart from you in doing various intense things. That we've missed very much doing this in our interaction with you, and being away from it reminds us very much of that. Um, you know, it's been an interesting 5 years watching it grow. You know, and it's very much like sowing seed, and then you watch it gradually, the green shoots germinate, and then the stalks grow up, and then of course you have to check and see whether the kernels are candy or not.
Oh, Charles.
What?
You just can't help yourself. You're like a little kid in a candy store, except the candy store has all candy corn.
What? Here it is. I'm trying to tell a beautiful parable, and you're getting overwrought about candy corn again. Why do you always bring up candy corn?
You brought up candy corn.
Who did? When?
You just did, using it as a metaphor.
Well, that's a metaphor. I mean, you've got to admit, if you're a corn farmer and you realize that you've planted nothing but candy corn, this could be difficult.
Why?
Well, for one thing, it doesn't grow. You should know that. Candy corn doesn't grow.
Oh, silly me.
You ever seen a candy corn dolly?
No.
Well, you'd have to have candy corn cobs for that, and I don't think those exist either.
All right, let's wrap it up, Charles. We're done.
You're sick and tired of candy corn. What about ostriches?
Let the ostriches be.
Would you feed them candy corn?
If they did a good dance, yes.
All right, that sounds fair. No, seriously though, I must say, on the one hand, ladies and gentlemen, all kidding aside, the past 6 weeks have been filled with horrible news, but both at the wedding, seeing old friends and relatives, my seeing friends in LA for the first time in a year and a half, then the tour of the Northeast. Regardless of the horrors and the terrible stuff going on, remember there are a lot of good people in the world. There are a lot of good things to see. In fact, I'm reminded of a poem by G.K. Chesterton. I think I'll close out my remarks with. Not least because I'll be going to England. This is a very English poem, but he is a wonderful phrase. My friends, we will not go again, or ape an ancient rage, or stretch the folly of our youth to be the shame of age, but walk with clearer eyes and ears this path that wandereth, and see undrugged in evening light the decent inn of death. For there is good news yet to hear, and fine things to be seen, before we go to paradise by way of Kensal Green. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the thing to remember. No matter how dark and unpleasant things may seem in the macrocosm, or even in the microcosm, there's so many wondrous and fine things, good people to meet, and fine things to be seen before we go to paradise by way of Kensal Green. I may be going to Kensal Green this week, so if I do, I'll let you know if I see the doors of paradise hovering over Kensal Green. Anyway, well, having said all of that, though, I still have a question for you.
What question?
Well, this is Monday.
It's off the menu.
And the soul you save
may be your own.
Take care, ladies and gentlemen. We shall see you next week.